Hey everybody, excuse me, I'm so sorry. This is Jackie Luqman.
And I'm at the Shahi Luqman.
There he is, over there.
Yes, right here. Caught me fixing my shirt. Trying to look presentable for the camera. There he is.
And yeah, so we have had some technical difficulties the past few days with our few interviews we had scheduled. We're still working on getting those to you, but we did not want to miss this opportunity, opportunity we had to just spend some time talking about some stuff and just catching up on some news and talking about a few issues that have really just been bothering us. So thanks for joining us today on YouTube. Those of you who usually watch us on Facebook, come on over to our YouTube channel. There's just too much going on for us to keep streaming on different platforms, so we can only do one at a time now. So yeah, what's going on in the world today?
All right, well, let's first of all talk about why progressives are losers.
What do you mean?
Let's talk about that.
No.
But let's talk about how the so-called NeoProgressives. We're not talking about the progressives that I guess I call them the old die-hard hippies or whatever.
All right.
What we traditionally know as progressives. But we're talking about why progressives are losers and why they're going to continue to lose. Why I don't really want to ascribe myself as a progressive, because I'm just embarrassed.
Why?
I'm embarrassed by the stuff, by the nonsense that a lot of progressives are embracing.
What? So tell me what you tell me.
I'll tell you right what I look. First of all, we talked about this, we spoke about this, and it's this thing that's going around on the internet about all of these dead people. I first saw it with Anthony Bourdain, and and people claiming that his death wasn't just a personal suicide, that it was, here come the conspiracy theories. Now all of a sudden Hillary has a hit team, and because some fake screenshot of which was supposed to be a Twitter remark by Anthony Bourdain saying that he had information on Hillary that will lead to her arrest. And so people took that and ran with it and say, see, his suicide is not just because he wanted to off himself. His suicide is not really a suicide. It's actually a political assassination. This is what they're saying. They're trying to put this in the same sphere as the JFK assassination. This is going. Oliver Stone's already probably trying to buy the rights to this shit, so that he can make a movie and talk about what really happened to Anthony Bourdain, and not just Anthony Bourdain. What happened to Vern Troyer? What happened? Yeah, what happened to Stephen Hawking? What happened to all of these celebrities who have died within the last year? And what is their connection with this whole thing about what information do they have that Hillary Clinton is having them all offed? So and what really is sad, and I'm gonna tell you what's sad about this. Here we have Trump, the ones that everybody hates, the one that everybody say is stupid, the one that everybody on the progressive side say is incompetent, the one that everybody say he doesn't know what he's doing. Well, let me tell you what Trump is doing. Trump at this time right now is having a historic summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-il. Now, Nobel Peace Prize, love and hope and change, Obama didn't do it. Presidents before him weren't able to do it. But somehow incompetent Trump, and I'm not endorsing him. Look, Jackie and I are here to tell the truth, no matter who it hurts.
Yep.
So, incompetent, bumbling, ignorant ass Trump is right now where's he at? In Thailand or somewhere?
I think he's
Singapore.
Singapore.
Is in Singapore. We're having a historic summit with Kim Jong-il. Now we don't know what the result is going to be. We don't know what's going to come out of that summit. The fact remains that this is the first time since the Korean War that an American president has met with a North Korean leader. So it's historic.
Right.
Number two, if this goes the way that Trump wants it to go, if North Korea denuclearizes, if North Korea gives in a lot of concessions, and Trump walks away with, I disarmed North Korea, I made them give up their nuclear weapons, I did this, I did that. If Trump walks away, being able to carry away a victory here, while y'all sitting around passing around dumbass fake information about celebrities that have died because they supposedly had something on Hillary Clinton. This is why progressives are not going to get the White House in 2020. This is why they're not going to win the Congress. That's why it's not going to be no blue wave. It's not going to be none of that. Because you know what? As smart as we claim we are, progressives, oh, we're so smart, we're so enlightened, we're so awoke. Yet you got Trump having the nuclear summit, and let's talk about this. Trump also is gaining points by this tariff war. Now, yeah, maybe economically, and I'm not an economist. I don't know the intricate workings of global economics and trade. I don't. I'm a truck driver. But at the same time, it doesn't matter if I know it or not. It doesn't matter if Trump supporters understand what the consequences is or would be from his tariff war with China, the attack in Trudeau. See, y'all gotta understand something. This is good theater for the Trump supporters. They love this.
Yes.
You know why?
Yes,
because the people in the Rust Belt, all of the people that, you know, some of the elitist progressives hold their nose up against, you know, the gun-toting, Bible-clutching, MAGA, tobacco chewing, you know, the ones that you know, a lot of elitist progressives love to look down on.
Right.
You know, they're not that intelligent. They don't have college degrees. They all of this stuff, you know. Their worldview is very simplistic, that you know, so we think. But what's happening is that what they see is, they look, like I said, it's not about whether Trump's confrontation with the G7. He pulled out of the G7.
Yeah, he did.
So he pulled out of the G7. That got the Europeans and them pissed off. He's going after Trudeau, and now Trudeau's coming back at him. All of this back and forth, we say is Trump tantrum. We may be right, but how is that playing politically to his base? Is that he's fighting for us? Exactly.
Because remember who Donald Trump is and how he became famous. Really, it was all image.
They said we keep going in and out.
Yeah, I can see the stream is evening out a little bit. So let us know, you guys, if it's smoothed out some. I hope it has. It looks like it has on our end. So we have to remember that Trump got famous not by actually accomplishing much of anything, right? The only thing he actually accomplished was building that first, what was it? The first Trump Tower in Manhattan.
Yeah, he built a casino in Atlantic City and stuff.
He rebuilt.
Right.
He so.
Well, Trump is really famous for just slapping his name on a bunch of stuff.
That's what he
did.
He's famous for, and what is that called? It's marketing. It's called marketing. Trump is a marketing genius.
Yeah.
He might be a political neophyte. He might be, you know, not astute politically as maybe even, you know, you and I are, but nobody can market like Donald Trump can, and that has always been true. So what Trump is doing with the posturing at the G7 and saying the really undignified and really stupid things about Trudeau, and the picture that went around the internet of him sitting at the table with his arms crossed and all the other world leaders around him like they're ganging up on him. See, to you and me, that's you know, that's a head palm moment, like, Jesus Christ, this is our president. Oh my God. But to his supporters, that looks like he is standing his ground and he is not taking any crap from these people. Perception. Reality is all about perception. right? So for people in Middle America who don't live around, and we watched this documentary on Amazon Prime yesterday. What was it called with the British guy?
It's not the correct title, but basically it was saying, why is white America so angry?
Yeah, it was why I think it really is called Why is White America so angry? And this is, I think, a good example of why reality is all about perception. Because if you only know what you see, and what you see is only your environment that you live around, somebody else's reality literally doesn't exist for you. It has to be made aware. You have to be made aware of it. So there's this one part in the documentary where this British journalist, he interviews Richard Spencer. He interviews white people in small steel towns.
Yeah, he went from Maine to Mississippi.
He went from Maine to Mississippi.
Exactly.
He went down to the South to talk to very genteel Southern white people who still believe in Robert E. Lee and do not believe Robert E. Lee owned slaves. And he went to this one town, I think it was in Pennsylvania, or maybe it was Maine, where he talks to the mayor of the town. And this was a white woman. And she talked about the pain that people in these predominantly, if not all white towns are feeling now, that is fueling the opioid crisis. And the pain is coming from the loss of jobs, the loss of a way of life, the loss of the American dream that they believed they were the inheritors of, that was their birthright, that all they had to do was be born in this country, work hard, and then not that they could be rich, but that they could raise a family and have a decent life, right? And that's the trope that we always hear, that we're like, okay, yeah, I got some violence for you. But then she said something that surprised us, that she said it, but it spoke to the fact that people's truth is really based on their perception of reality. She said that it is true that black people, and these are her words. We encourage you to watch this documentary on Amazon, or look it up on the internet. It's Why White People Are So Angry. She said that now, as much as white people are suffering through these economic and social crises, she said black people have always had this experience.
Yes.
This has always been true for black people and other oppressed people in this country. So the problem is that for white people, this kind of suffering, these kind of problems are new. So you've got people who are supporters of Trump who never thought that they would be experiencing the kind of economic deprivation and oppression that they are experiencing now, even though it's always been the reality of another group of people. A lot of these people have never lived around, and if they did live around them, they just didn't pay too much attention to them.
Yeah, and I wanted to really say that she missed, she really missed the point. This woman that you're speaking of, she was she's a politician. I don't know if she's the mayor or something, but she's a politician in Pennsylvania, Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Right, that's
right. Which I'm very well familiar with, Johnstown, Pennsylvania, being an over-road truck driver, former steel town, manufacturing loss, the whole nine. One of the things that I think that should be clarified, that I don't think she clarified enough, or is the fact that it's not that white people haven't suffered in this country before.
Right.
I don't think that they have. I think what's new is that, unlike in the past, there's no government help.
That's a great point. I think that's a great
there's
point.
No government help. And so what white America is feeling is not that white people went through the Depression. White people went through, suffered economic downturns along with this country, before, and stuff like that. As we always know, when we as black people always point out our suffering, there's always a few whites that's talking about, well, what about us? We went through this too, and that is true. But the fact remains is the difference is that government always came in to provide the safety net for white America, and not just provide the safety net, but gave them a way out to prosperity, which didn't happen for us. Right. So I think the difference is now is that they're experiencing that government is basically abandoning everybody,
right?
Except
right.
if you're in the top echelon of wealth and
right.
stuff like that.
Right.
If you're not in the 1%, or if you're not in that top echelon of wealthy people, then the government basically like, screw you. You know what I mean? You make it on your own. You're on your own. Number two is, Jackie, I'm glad that you brought up about the way that media has portrayed, and international media in particularly, have portrayed Trump's antagonism with the Europeans and the Chinese and all of this blustering back and forth. And the media, because of, once again, we have a tendency, and I'm talking, when I say we, I'm talking about intelligentsia, which I do not include myself in, but intelligentsia has a tendency to look down on those that they consider less educated.
Yeah.
That they consider less sophisticated. So they're looking at it like, oh wow, look at the way Trump is behaving. This is not proper for a world leader to behave.
Right.
But let me tell you something. Germans don't vote for American president.
Exactly.
The Canadians ain't gonna vote for American president. Chinese ain't gonna vote for American president. Russians ain't gonna vote for American president. None of these people matter to the MAGA people, and not just them. Because see, by the Democratic Party bumbling like they doing, by the Democratic Party making all of these political inaction, or being politically inactive, as opposed to
shooting themselves in the foot,
right.
making stupid rules.
What's happening is you got people that's on the fence that might not have supported Trump before.
Exactly.
So now what's happening is the Democrats are basically, and we're going to go into a story later on how I feel the Democrats are going to shoot themselves in the foot even more, but how the Democrats are basically almost giving away supporters to Trump, because you got people that's on the sidelines now that's seeing what's happening. They're seeing the summit. They're seeing Trump, and in spite of how you think, how he behaved, it's playing well politically. Somebody, I think Shirley Vick said something about the media being the key to him winning, and that's true. When he was on the campaign trail, that is definitely true. But you can't use that as an excuse now because he's president.
Right.
And the cameras have to be on the president. It's not our fault that Obama. It's not our fault that Obama did not exercise the office in the way that could have made his causes, in the way that could have helped his causes more.
Right.
I always felt that Obama should have used the office of the presidency, or as they used to say, the bully pulpit, to basically, when they did not when they did not give any attention to his jobs bill, I felt then that Obama should have took that case to the American people and put it in their face and say, see, look what I'm trying to do. They don't want y'all to have jobs.
Because that's exactly what Trump is doing.
That is exactly what Trump's doing.
Precisely what Donald Trump is doing. See, we criticize, and we're going to get to the HRC business in a minute, because I know that's why y'all joined, and that's fine. But we're going to get to that in a minute. But see,
we're going to give you the nourishment first before you give you the junk food.
Yeah. You must eat your meat before you can have your pudding. How can you have your pudding if you don't eat your meat? Yeah, it's a Pink Floyd reference for those of you who don't know. Trump is doing that exact thing. He is using the bully pulpit of the presidency, and he is stating his case to, it's his base, but he's stating his case to these people why they should vote for him again in 2020. So that's what these rallies are about. Exactly. People are like, oh my God, he's campaigning already 1 year into. Look, 1 year into Obama's first term, when he couldn't get support for the public option, he should have taken to the road then.
Yes, he should have.
He should have taken to the campaign trail, whatever you want to call it. He should have called some press conferences. He should have had some evening specials, some fireside chats, whatever you wanted to call them, and make his case to the American people. Listen here. I said that we were going to come in with some hope and change, and I am trying to make some changes, but this intransigent Congress won't work with me to enact this change. Now, Donald Trump is actually saying the exact same thing. He's just not as eloquent and smooth with a V and suave as Barack Obama would have been had he done that. So for people to dismiss Trump's strategies and his tactics, and to just trash them because he's a trashy person and they don't like them, that's a huge mistake. And it's the kind of mistake Trump has capitalized on his entire career. People underestimating Trump or dismissing him because he's not a smart guy, and he's not. And he'll tell you he's not smart.
He's not. Trump. See, this is the thing. Getting back to the Obama thing. Obama. I mean, I think so many of us who were Obama supporters was frustrated with Obama, and because Obama represented this thing about how the Democrats can. They're a bunch of wussies. They don't fight.
Yep.
Everybody was saying, man, Obama, man, why don't you get angry? You know, I mean, those of us that was like his supporters in the trenches was like, when we gonna see that brother come out of you, man? You know, I mean, you know,
when Chicago coming?
Right, and it was always this thing of, you know, of him. You know, people saying, well, you got to understand. You know, he's a black man, and if he gets too angry, that's going to turn white folks off, and that's going to be this. But see, it's not about that. The whole Democratic Party are wussies, and America loves fighters. Americans love fighters, and the reason why the Democrats have a hard time getting their foot in the door, because America, and when I say America, I'm talking about the hard hat, lunch pail carrying, men and women, working class men and women of this country. They want fighters. You know, it's already a class divide in this country, and I got to keep on illustrating this. There's a class divide. Trump used that. Republicans use that constantly. They always say, when Obama said something, when Obama was running, let's go back. When Obama was running, he was campaigning in Pennsylvania, he made that comment about people clutching to their guns.
Clinging to their guns, clinging to God and their guns.
Now, let me tell you, that was offensive. You know why? Because they looked at this Harvard-educated guy looking down on them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? This condescension. And see, when the working class people of this country, that's how the Democrats come off. You know what I mean? So when you get a guy like Trump, as bumbling and as unsophisticated as he is, that translates to the working class, even though he's not working class.
Exactly.
But he speaks the language. And see, what happens is the fact that's what's gaining him points, while the rest of us is sitting in our ivory towers or in our not so ivory towers and feeling smug that, you know, we're so enlightened we will never fall for a Trump. Or feeling so smug that we're so enlightened that we see all the errors and but the working class, the majority of working class people, that translates well to them because America loves fighters. And that's the thing. And Trump is showing, I'm fighting. You know what I mean? Yeah, I got Europe pissed off at me. I got Trudeau pissed off at me. I got the Chinese pissed off at me. I got everybody pissed off at me. But you know what? I don't give a F because I'm fighting for you. That's what they hear.
Yep, that is what they hear. And when they see the images of these pictures from the G7 and him sitting at the table, some of us look at that and say, oh my God, he's such a petulant child.
Right.
But these people, and I'm not saying that they're stupid. Let's stop believing that these people are stupid because they see these images of Trump and his behavior in a different way.
Exactly.
They're not stupid.
Exactly.
They just see things from a different perspective. That is the only point on which I will agree that we do need to bridge this divide between people who might have racial animosity because they just don't live around black people and they just don't know. That's the only point on which I would say, you know what, okay, some people just do see things differently, and if they understood a different perspective, understand what I'm saying, if they understood a different perspective, if they understood that a different perspective and existence is real to different people, then they will change. It is not my job to understand how they think. I know how they think. And I'm not dismissing their concerns because they don't think like me. I'm dismissing how they express those concerns and their answers to their problems. But no, I get that they see things differently, and fine, we can have a discussion about why your perception is off, but that's as far as I'll go. But for us to continually dismiss these people as a bunch of backwoods, redneck, inbred, tobacco chewing, country bumpkins who are ignorant, and they're all racist. A lot of them probably are, but all of them no. We need to stop that, because really all this has been, Trump's presidency really has been a response not just to Barack Obama because he was the first black president of the United States. It was also a response to Barack Obama, the elitist Democratic president who looked down on working class people. Because I got to tell you, when he said that clinging to God and guns thing, as a person of faith and as somebody who comes from a family that hunts and owns guns, I was offended by that.
Yeah,
I was offended by it.
Exactly. And Barack Obama just didn't pay the price. Hillary paid the price.
That's right.
Because she was seen as the same thing. So we know that color, in a large part, didn't have anything to do with it. If you remember, during the time that Hillary Clinton was running against Trump, and the media, during the few times the media did their job, they went down to the South when Trump, and they didn't understand why Trump was gaining such traction, and so when they spoke to white working class people, and a lot of them said that they resented Hillary because they felt that she didn't speak to their concerns. Right. You know, she said, I remember one interview in particular, I think it was down in Louisiana, and it was a group of white women from Louisiana, and they said, you know, we get tired of being called racist. You know, no one talks to us. No one talks and asks us what's on our minds. We're just immediately just classified as racist. And they felt that Hillary Clinton and the whole Democratic train that ran all through there wasn't so much trying to understand them as they was finger wagging at them and say, you guys are going to get on this progressive train. You guys are going to change your ways or forget about it. Right. You know, where Trump, on the other hand, yeah, Trump spoke in racial terms. Trump spoke in a codified way. But at the same time, a lot of people gravitated towards that. But that don't explain all his supporters, because he had Mexicans who supported him. Right. He had blacks who supported him. He had some blacks who supported him. So a lot of college educated white people, it wasn't just the racial dog whistle language that attracted his supporters. What also attracted the supporters, I believe, was Trump's ability, which comes from New York. That's the thing that people don't understand. Yeah. Trump's communication is straight New York. You know what I mean? And New York is what? An international city. New York, everybody on the planet you'll find in New York. So you have to be able to relate to people of different backgrounds just growing up in New York. Because that's the type of city New York is. Right. So Trump done business in New York. Trump had to not only deal with diverse backgrounds when it came to labor and stuff like that. Trump had to deal with the mob. You don't get nothing built in New York. You don't build anything in New York City without having to deal with the mob. I tell people all the time, you don't get anything built in New York without having to deal with those people whose last names end in a vowel. You just don't. You just don't get anything built. So Trump has been used to this wheeling and dealing. Trump has been used to presenting one thing but doing the other. See, one of the things that the progressives, I think, need to update the playbook, because when we look at the Trump people, progressives, and rightfully so, progressives consider themselves internationalists. So we care about global warming because it affects everybody. Right. We care about war and stuff like this because it affects everybody.
Uh-huh.
We care about, you know, what our government is doing around the world. You know why? Because it affects everybody. Mm-hmm. And that's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. You said, Jackie, and I agree with you, about not underestimating Trump supporters because they see the world in a different way. Where people, whether it's the Sanders people or it's progressives or liberals within the Democratic Party, who see themselves as internationalists, mm-hmm. which means, you know, but the Trump people see themselves as America first.
Right. Right.
So it's two different worldviews. One worldview is, yeah, I'm a Trump supporter. I care about global warming, but right now I want that steel plant to open up.
Right. Right.
Right now,
exactly.
Yeah, right now I want to be able to take care of my family mm-hmm. with a decent wage, even though you ain't getting none of that. Uh-huh. But it's the perception that you may get it.
Exactly.
And see, and it's the perception. Trump and his crowd are just as internationalist as the Democrats, except for one thing.
What's that?
Their internationalism ain't so much about making the world a better place. Their internationalism is finance.
Oh.
So they're just as much globalists too, but their globalist is within the financial sector, where the liberals and everything else is more about, you know, their global. This is about solving world hunger,
world problems.
Yeah, world moral issues.
Right.
Moral issues, war, hunger, save the planet. Mm-hmm. Don't cut down too many trees. Don't eat. You know. So that's it. But see, what we have to understand is that Americans, the working class American public, has never been about that. And that's the reason why the progressive message has always been so hard to get out there. And that's what forced the Democratic Party to give up a lot of their principles and move center right. Because Americans basically Americans throughout history has always been isolationists.
This is true. The whole focus away from isolationism is very new.
It's very new to Americans. Americans have always been isolationists.
So what was it, World War II or one?
Well,
that changed.
Well, Roosevelt had to trick the American people into getting into World War II.
See, this is why.
And the only thing that propelled American support behind the war effort was the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor.
And that forced us
to get behind the war effort.
And it also forced us to look at politics outside of this country.
But we had to get attacked.
But we had to get attacked to do that.
Right. While Hitler was gobbling up Europe, we didn't give a shit.
We literally did not care.
So Roosevelt had to trick the American Congress, first of all, of supporting England. And that's when the Lend-Lease programs and stuff, and Roosevelt maneuvered politically in order to get Congress to at least agree to send the British some military equipment. No troops, just America, because the American people did not want to get involved in the European war. It took the Japanese to attack Pearl Harbor to have the American population behind the war effort. That was only 70 years ago. Americans have never been globalists.
70 years ago.
Yeah, so Americans as a demographic, as a country, has never been globalists.
70 years ago.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, remember, you might not remember because you probably don't know that we didn't, like you said, we didn't just see what was going on in the world and say, oh, we need to get involved in this and make this right. No, Britain had to literally beg us.
Yeah.
Honestly, Winston Churchill was practically begging the United States to help Britain against the. So history is really important in understanding. And I know people like to compare Trump to Hitler. I'm not saying that those comparisons in some instances are not accurate. I'm just saying, when you look at the history of this country... Well,
Hitler was a nationalist.
This is true.
And so is Trump.
Trump is absolutely... You got to watch this documentary.
We don't like to use... and I'm going to say this. Mm-hmm. The Hitler references is really not PC because of Hitler's connection with history.
Right.
But if you look at his politics, Hitler's politics, Hitler was a German nationalist. You look at all his speeches. It was fatherland this, fatherland that.
The German first.
Yeah, German first. And Trump is a white American nationalist.
That's right.
Now, you know, so we're not talking about deeds.
Right.
Because that's the thing that people have a problem when you say, oh, well, like Hitler. We're not talking about deeds. What we're talking about is politics, ideology.
Right. That's the key.
And that's where we can see the comparisons.
Exactly. I mean, so that I think that's fascinating. Just the fact, understanding that as a people, and I know there are plenty of issues with whether we should identify ourselves as American or not, but we're just talking about it in the context of politics and
that's
ideology
another show.
And history. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah,
that's a black ass Pan-African show.
Right.
But it is very interesting that Americans have never been globalists.
No.
As a people, as a voting population,
no, never been.
You can't expect people in the Rust Belt, in the Wheat Belt, you know, in Middle America, in Montana. I know we want, as an anti-war advocate myself, as an anti-imperialist advocate myself, I want Americans to care what we're doing, what this government is doing around the world to other people in our name. I want people to care about that. But if people cannot put food on their tables, they're not going to. They don't have the bandwidth to. And that is the gulf, the chasm between what Trump is doing, the kind of messaging that he's putting out there that's connecting with people, and what not just the Democratic Party is doing, but what progressives are doing too. Now this is where but
I want to end this segment on explaining why Americans have never really been globalists, and why Americans remain isolationists even up to this day. We have to understand that what has really contributed to American isolationism is the fact that we're separated from the rest of the world by two oceans.
There's the logistical reality too.
Right. Well, if you're a European country, your existence is always, if you're a European country, your interests are always being, or have the possibility of being affected by countries around you, because you're landlocked for the most part.
Right.
So whatever happens in Europe has a tendency to spill over borders because they're so close together. Same way in Asia, same way in a lot of African nation stuff. But in America, we didn't have to deal with that. We didn't have to deal with unrest in Canada spilling over in our borders.
Right.
Unrest in Mexico, even though they try to make it seem that. But for the most part, Americans have been safe and pretty much isolated from world skirmishes and wars around the world because we're so far away from them. So that doesn't affect us on a personal level.
Right.
So by not affecting us on a personal level, if you're France, then you want a peaceful Germany.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
They're right. They're right there.
Yeah, I mean,
literally can.
Right. I mean, if you're in Europe and during the time of the Soviet Union and the Iron Curtain, then you want to make sure that NATO was strong to keep the Soviets at check.
Right.
Because you were caught in the middle.
Right.
So any clash between them two, you ground zero. So we don't get that. And so what happens is we as an American population have been allowed relatively to exist in peace. So when you don't have that type of when you don't have to go through those type of turmoils, and when your existence isn't based upon what the nation next door to you is going to do, or what the nation next door might do militarily, or the fact that you might share a border with a Nazi Germany, or a nation that is strong enough to take you over. So you have to build other alliances to keep that from happening, which is what happened with Poland during World War II, which is what started World War II, because Poland had no match against the Germans, but Poland made alliances with France and Britain, which were the two powerful European nations. And it was them that told Germany that if you go into Poland, then it's war.
Right.
Hitler ignored it. That's what started World War II. So, it was the German invasion of Poland. But we didn't have to go through that. Right. So even during what Americans called back then the European War, we didn't even consider it a world war. Americans was like, we don't want to be involved in that European war.
Wow.
So, so the thing of it is that this has been our thinking for the longest time. And this is the reason why progressives, now let me tell you, I think that Americans need to be more globalist. I think we need to start thinking more internationally. I think we need to adopt the fucking metric system like everybody else. But the thing of it is that in order to get Americans to maybe shift in that way, and it's not going to be easy, progressives got to lose that snottiness, man.
Oh
progressives have to change their playbook. And progressives got to stop, how can I put it? Because me and you spoke about this. Progressives got to stop alienating every damn body.
Everybody that.
If you're male, the feminists don't like you. If you eat meat, the vegans don't like you. I mean,
if you drink soda, then
the food police, they don't like you.
If you drink out of a straw, then the climate change people hate you.
Right. So what's happening is that the progressives, I think the progressive movement's biggest handicap is its inability to unite people.
Ooh, except when it's behind some crazy stuff,
right?
That just makes no kind of logical sense. And here is where we get to the fun stuff that just kind of had us ticked off this past couple of days. And if you've seen the stream I did on Saturday on YouTube about Anthony Bourdain's suicide, it was a suicide. The man committed suicide. I talked about how knowing the level of suffering around the globe that people are subjected to by our government, by this government in our name, that's a heavy burden to bear. It's incredibly heavy. And the little bit that we know, I mean, sometimes that does keep us up at night. In addition to the stuff that goes on locally, right, in this one city, and the stuff that we know that goes on in other cities that we try to highlight, and the stuff that people keep tagging us about that I swear I wish y'all would stop. Because I can't look at another police brutality video. I can't look at another video
why is it that
the cops beating the black kid's head in.
Why is it every time a black person get kicked in the ass, then you got to know about it?
I don't. Well, you too.
Me too.
And I understand we elevate the voices of these people to seek justice, but y'all got to give us a break because it's a lot. So, this is just a little bit of stuff we know, right? And we have a little bit of money, and we can't go all over the world like Anthony Bourdain did. And here's a man who, with his platform and his privilege, he had a lot of both, went to the Congo, where United States and other Western interests are still fomenting civil war in that country after a decade.
Yeah, for their own self-interest.
For their own self-interest over natural resources, and people are still dying and struggling there. I mean, here's Anthony Bourdain, a chef.
Right.
A food critic. Basically, he travels the world to sample foods, but he took it a step further and talked to the people and talked about their struggles and the political implications behind their struggles. Right? So he did this in the Congo. Nobody goes to the Congo for anything.
Nobody talks about it.
Nobody talks about the Congo. Anthony Bourdain did. He went to other struggling nations in Africa and talked about. Went among the Berbers, and the few remaining nomadic tribes of people who and the struggles they faced. He went to Afghanistan. He went to the people in Iraq. He went to Iran.
He went to ghettos in America.
He went to Philadelphia. He went to Detroit. He went to Pittsburgh. He went to Cleveland. All of these black formerly working class neighborhoods that used to be thriving, that are now in the United States, that are now suffering from gentrification. These people are now poor after the crack era and the Reagan years, with the defunding of mental health and public services that happened all at the same time that crack and guns hit the streets, and it hit these particular neighborhoods hard. So all of these working class black communities were destroyed.
Right.
I mean, decimated by a war on our own shores against our own people, because that's what it was. And really that's what it still is. Now we're just seeing it in the form of the opioid crisis, and now it's working class white people being the target. That's why y'all getting it, because we did and you didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
But Anthony Bourdain, under the auspices of going to these cities to check out the trendy new eateries that have these delicious foods, he confronted these white people who were opening up these stores, these restaurants in these neighborhoods in Pittsburgh and Cleveland and Baltimore and Detroit. I remember that Detroit episode.
All the what we call the hipster
the hipster joints.
Yeah, the hipster joints.
And he asked these white people, what do you think about the fact that you're basically able to do this because you bought property at a fire sale because the people who were here before were pushed out? How do you think? He confronted the participants in gentrification, and then he took it a step further and went across the tracks, or went down the street to the remaining black families left who were trying to hold on to their neighborhoods, and he went to the holes in the wall. You know, he went to the carry-outs, or the curry-outs as we call them. He went to the homes of the people who were selling dinners out of their kitchen to make money so they could pay their mortgage still, so they could hold on to their house. And he told those people stories. And that, I can understand, is an enormous burden to bear for somebody who has that kind of access, to be able to see that amount of not just suffering and depression, but to see that amount of corruption that is intentionally done to people by this government in our name. That's a hell of a load to bear. So, and then we factor in Bourdain's possible, because we don't know what his status was with his addiction. But addiction is a bitch. It's a bitch. It really is. And if you've never lived it, if you've never experienced addiction, I have not personally. I have people in my family who do. I don't understand the struggle, but seeing it is hard enough. That's a bitch and a half to carry, on top of carrying this knowledge of all this other stuff. Then you throw in maybe a mental illness, maybe a battle with depression.
That addiction makes worse.
That addiction makes worse.
Right.
That addiction actually perpetuates and feeds upon. It's like it's a monster. You got all that going on at one time in one person. Regular folk who are broke can barely handle it. You talking about a man who has traveled the world and has seen corruption and oppression and abuse on a global scale. How in the world are you all gonna sit here, you progressives, gonna sit here and dismiss everything this man might have been struggling with, and claim that he didn't kill himself? He was killed by Hillary Clinton because he was about to uncover an elite pedophile ring. You are just going to dismiss everything that this man highlighted, and all these people that he elevated, and their voices and their struggles that he highlighted with his platform, and all of his personal demons that he was struggling with, that regular folks can't get much attention, who are struggling with, but he was honest about his. And that might have helped some other regular folks get a little bit more attention than they would have gotten otherwise. And y'all just gonna dismiss all that crap because of some fake tweet that you are passing around and using it as proof, evidence that Bourdain was killed by Hillary Clinton because he was about to uncover a pedophile ring. Let me show you what we're talking about.
That's a damn shame.
Because we know some pretty smart people. And we met a lot of these people through the Sanders presidential campaign, and you know, we've connected it with a lot of these, you know, progressives, and a lot of people we understand are new to politics, are new to history, really.
Yeah.
You know, that y'all, a lot of you are kind of young, and some of you are not so young, which pisses me off even more that you're old, and you're perpetuating this craziness. But okay, I get some of you you're not as deeply steeped into history and politics and the history of politics as we might be. But I don't understand how these smart-ass progressives who are so woke now can believe a tweet that allegedly came from Anthony Bourdain's account that says, I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. You can share that foolishness while you're on Facebook and talk about, see, he didn't commit suicide, he was murdered. But while you are on the internet, on Facebook, sharing that bullshit tweet, you can't Google just the phrase, I have information on the arrest of Hillary Clinton, and see all the other fake ass tweets that were attributed to dead people who allegedly tweeted the same thing.
Right.
I don't understand how y'all allegedly smart ass progressives aren't smart enough to use Google or DuckDuckGo or Bing or whatever search.
Oh, but we understand
engine
why you don't want to use Snoops.
Oh, you understand. Everybody understands why you can't trust Snopes.
Yeah, Snopes.
Because you know Snopes is owned by a Hillary Clinton surrogate. Let me show you why that Anthony Bourdain tweet is bullshit. Let me show you why. Because this one is bullshit. This one, allegedly from Gene Wilder's Twitter account.
Oh, no.
I have information that will lead to Hillary Clinton's arrest. Gene Wilder is dead, by the way.
Is dead, yep.
So apparently Gene Wilder didn't die of whatever it was he died of. I think it was a heart attack.
Yeah.
He apparently Gene Wilder was killed by Hillary Clinton because Gene Wilder allegedly had information that was going to lead to her arrest. This is supposedly from his Twitter account now, y'all.
Or as they said in The Godfather, when Godfather 2, when Fredo asked about Clemenza's heart attack, and his henchman said, "Nah, that wasn't no heart attack. Nah, that wasn't no heart attack.
That wasn't no heart attack." Let me see. They say here that they have 25 of these tweets. This is how completely easy y'all are to dupe.
Yep.
This is why progressives will never make inroads in the Democratic Party.
Not like this.
Not when you pay attention to shit like this.
Yep, not like this.
And I guess I should have warned you that there was going to be some cussing today, but I can't talk about this without cussing because I can't believe y'all are sitting here so high and mighty with you. People have come after me on my Facebook page telling me how I'm tone policing people and I am gaslighting people and I'm ignoring evidence and you idiots are passing around Photoshop tweets.
But this what kills me, right? Is the same passion and fervor that a lot of these so-called progressives have behind this. You and I have shared real life shit, and I'm going to cuss. You know why? Because scientists said that profanity is the mark of intelligence.
Yes.
So that's been proven. Smart people cuss. So anyway, but again, we have shared real life stuff about things that affect the lives of everyday people. We spoke about the racial wealth gap.
Yes.
We spoke about Brown versus Board of Education 60-some years later that has significantly impacted the education of poor black and brown children because of the inaction of the government to live up to what the Supreme Court said they should do. We have talked about, well, we're going to talk about wage theft. We have spoke about all of these other things, and yet we can't. Look, just the other day, I put up a story about the significance of Trump's judicial appointments and how that is going to significantly foster racial bias in our judicial system. I couldn't get none of you damn people to even comment on that, but you circulate a meme with the Tyrannosaurus Rex saying, I'm no longer here because I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. That's what took me out.
Look, so y'all are convinced that this tweet came from Anthony Bourdain's actual account because it's got the blue check mark because it's verified, right? And I hope you all are noticing as I'm going to cycle through these.
So what about Photoshop? You know how many times? You know how many times? Because you said about the check thing. You know how many times I've been fooled by a Photoshop picture?
Yeah, I mean that's why they do it. That's why people do it, to fool people. And then this is why I've fallen victim to it too. And shared a meme. This is why I don't share memes all that often.
Right.
Shared a meme that contained that showed information that looked good.
That wasn't true.
That actually wasn't true.
Right.
This is why before I share something that did not come from me, I verify it. I research it. And if any of y'all who have shared that bullshit Anthony Bourdain tweet had taken the time to just tweet, to just search this one phrase, the very phrase that's in the tweet, you would have seen that allegedly Stephen Hawking tweeted the same thing. I guess Hillary Clinton killed Stephen Hawking too, because he had information that would lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. There's another one that allegedly came from his account. I guess Hillary killed Carrie Fisher too, because she allegedly tweeted from her account that I have information that will lead to Hillary Clinton's arrest.
But you seen the other one from Muhammad Ali that says that says that there's some are good, but I am the best. I have information that will lead to Hillary Clinton's arrest.
But that is how easy it is to fool some of y'all. I just don't understand. I just don't get how you are allowing yourselves to be duped like this.
I do.
Oh, let them 25 of this. I don't know who Nick Shyamala is.
But they obviously dead.
Apparently
dead.
Apparently Hillary killed millions of bees in South Carolina, because millions of bees in South Carolina also tweeted that they have information that could lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. Let me go there, because there are some other ones that are really they're funny, but they also
What's that last email sent?
Which one?
I think something up there. Last email sent. You just had it down a little bit. You see it? Last email sent.
Oh. Oh Lord, yeah. Then y'all send stuff like this, like a meme with the dead person's picture in it that proclaims that the last email they sent,
right.
I have information, and y'all believe this shit. Y'all pass it around, and.
But all of these now these are people not like you and I. These are people who are famous, right? People who are well known. And so all of these people have this information, yet the Justice Department does nothing.
All of these people have this information.
I mean, famous people. They're not like us.
But somehow none of that information is made. They put an announcement on Twitter, that they have information that they would lead to Hillary's arrest, but they somehow didn't tell the Justice Department.
Justice Department looked like, man.
I guess they figured the Justice Department would read their Twitter account and call them.
Right.
But then I guess Hillary killed them before the Justice
Department
could call. Oh, here's the one that really had me just dying laughing. Pun intended. Tom Petty. I guess Hillary killed Tom Petty too, because he had information that would lead to her arrest. I guess.
But see, Hillary has something against Tom Petty because he won't back down.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
He did keep saying that.
Yeah,
shit.
he said I won't back down.
He kept saying I won't back down, and that finally.
That did him in.
Let's see. Where's the I guess Vern Troyer knew about the elite pedophile ring because he was a midget.
And for those who don't know, that's Mini-Me.
That was Mini-Me, so he was probably a part of the elite pedophile ring because he's a little person,
small,
and they mistook him for a child. So they trafficked him. So of course he had information that would lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton, and that's why Hillary had him killed.
Yep.
Where's the last one? And this is the last one.
What's that Morgan Freeman one? Because he's still with us.
He's still with us. He's not dead yet. He didn't say he has information that leads to her arrest. But this is from Snopes, so we know that's fake. So,
but he said jailing Hillary is the best way to restore public faith in government.
Well, I don't know if he did.
I don't know if he said that.
But we can't trust Snopes, because Hillary Clinton. So,
yeah.
So here's the other one that had me I just when I saw this one I was like, okay, I'm done. There's no validity to this. I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton tweet. Bullshit.
Listen, maggot. I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton.
Y'all, I don't know. And this, by the way, this is the result of a Google search I did on this phrase. I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. That's all you got to do. That's it. And you will get all these images of all these tweets. Look at this. Hillary Clinton even has a tweet allegedly from her account saying that she has information.
Well, this is the one I thought was funny.
What?
Because I just saw a documentary on Sam Giancana yesterday. And how the government, the CIA, United States government, CIA, enlisted Sam Giancana's help to take out Castro when Castro first... Right. But the mob couldn't do it. The Bay of Pigs couldn't do it. But guess who was able to take Castro out?
Hillary Clinton. Where is it?
You just passed it. It's further up.
Is it further up?
It's further up. Castro waving the flag or something.
Oh. Doggone.
Going up some more. There it is. Right.
Hillary killed Fidel too.
Now, Kennedy, during Kennedy's time, they had the Bay of Pigs of Cuban repatriated Cubans trying to overthrow Castro. The CIA came up with poison pins, exploding cigars,
cigars,
and they enlisted the help of the mafia, Sam Giancana's help and stuff, but none of them could do what Hillary Clinton was able to do.
Because Fidel Castro apparently had information that would lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton, and that information was probably Fidel
but she did a good thing, though.
An elite pedophile.
But see, by Hillary Clinton killing Fidel, then Hillary set in motion for Raul Castro to get in charge, and Raul Castro opened up Cuba. So what I'm saying is that there's good in everything.
Yeah, but Raul is dead now,
No,
too.
Raul's not dead.
Oh, that's right. He's not dead.
No, he stepped down and turned the presidency over to a younger guy, but he's still around.
Raul will be dead soon.
Viva la revolution.
Because Raul has information that will...
That's why he stepped down. Because Fidel told him, and he's like, look, Hillary's vicious, man. I don't want to be around. Hillary's vicious. Hey, Manuel, you take this. I'm getting out of here because Hillary's vicious.
I'm so sorry. I'm lightheaded now. This is... Y'all, listen. And then I understand that some people are going to take this personally and, you don't have to be so mean, Jackie. Well, you don't have to be so stupid. I'm sorry. We don't have time for this. We do not have time for you to be sitting online anywhere and arguing with people about a fake screenshot of a tweet that has obviously been photoshopped.
Right, and that's why we always say when we come on, well, we say it most times, that we're the most dangerous show on the internet. Because it's about truth here. Again, we started this show off, Jackie, by reminding people what Trump is doing while everybody is wankering over this.
Yep.
Right? While everybody is sharing around false memes, while everybody is passing around quote-unquote fake news and all this other kind of stuff, Trump is in Singapore meeting with Kim Jong-il. Trump may walk away with a victory that would propel him to the White House for another 4 years, which would propel the Republicans to control the House and the Senate for another 4, or whatever, how many more years. Yet, you know what, we're going to sit around and say? The Democratic Party died because they had information which leads to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. And speaking of the Democratic Party, maybe we might wrap up on this. I have a story here. I know folks are probably tired of listening to me, but here it is. Look. And I think this is important because it just, to me, confirms why I think that there's not going to be a blue wave. There's not going to be a progressive upset. Trump is not in danger of being impeached, nor is he in danger of not being president again. We have a story here that says a slap in the face to progressive outsiders, and some of you have shared this on social media, as DNC adopts rule forcing presidential candidates to be members of the Democratic Party. So, let me see. Quote here is, let me look down here a little bit. Bear with me. It says, I'm just stunned that the Democratic Party's Rules Committee would want to try to make the Democratic Party an exclusive club for which we want to exclude voters and large segments of the American electorate. The DNC has learned nothing. That was how the advocacy group People for Bernie reacted to reports late Friday that the Rules and Bylaws arm of the Democratic National Committee has moved ahead with a new resolution that, according to Yahoo News, would force candidates in Democratic presidential primaries to state that they are Democrats and to run and serve as a member of the party. Now, if you don't think that we are moving close to fascism, this right here just tells me that we're getting a step closer to fascism.
It does, and for people to believe that that is not true because this is the Democrats, how is this any different from a loyalty pledge from anybody else? It isn't. That's exactly what it is. Now, somebody commented on a YouTube about the fake tweets. What about Seth Rich? What about him? Seriously, if y'all would put as much energy and effort into focusing on politics and policy as you are putting into these conspiracies that you cannot prove. Because see, here's the thing. If Hillary Clinton did actually have Seth Rich killed, you gonna take that to the Justice Department and get her arrested? No. You know why I know? Because nobody has. If anything was actually valid that could be used to jail Hillary Clinton, it would have been out there and she would be in jail by now. But she's not, and neither is no one in the DNC. So, listen, we're not going to sit here and waste our time arguing conspiracy theories. That's why they're called theories. You haven't proven anything. And for people to equate this, let me just say this, make this real clear. For people to equate these kinds of accusations against Hillary Clinton, not that we hate Hillary Clinton. We do not like her. But see, we can focus on the things that she has actually done that we have proof of for reasons why we don't like. See, we don't have to make up. We don't have to make up what she did with the Clinton Foundation. With that's proven. That's fact. We don't have to make up how she ripped Haiti off. That's proven. That's fact. We don't have to make up how she was involved in the destruction of Libya. That's proven.
We don't have to make up how she called a bunch of kids, black kids, super predators.
Super predators, and was involved in not just passing and promoting the crime bill, but she was involved in constructing it.
Right. Yep.
That's proven. If we spent as much time focusing on those issues that are concrete facts, as opposed to these esoteric things that we think people are doing in the background, pulling strings that we can't prove, we would actually get some shit done. If we actually focused on the DNC and their bullshit marching to fascism purity pledge of allegiance to the DNC.
It's an oath. It's an oath of allegiance.
It's an oath of allegiance. How about let's focus on that? How about let's push back on that? But if you want to be focused on somebody who's killing some people, I would love for y'all to be as focused on these cops that are running around killing our kids. I'd love for you to be as focused on that as you are on Hillary Clinton killing Seth Rich, Tom Petty, Anthony Bourdain, Vern Troyer,
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I'd love for you to be focused as much on those things, on policy. We can sit here and talk all day long about all of the bodies that Hillary Clinton may or may not have hidden under her house in wherever it is, up in New York State.
Hyannisport, I don't know.
Up in New York State.
New York State, yeah.
And yes, there are politicians who love to mess around with little bitty children. Yes. Pedophilia is a real thing.
In fact, Bill Clinton knew one of them personally. Used to go down to his.
I'm not saying that there are no connections, but y'all are focusing on the wrong things.
And
because these things are not going to get rid of these people.
And you know why you're getting a lot of, well, we are now, but why you before me was getting a lot of pushback by some of your progressive friends or our progressive friends, because progressives are children. They don't like to be confronted when they're wrong. And you see that all the time. They always talk about Trump tantrums. Mm-hmm. Oh, look at Trump acting like a child. Well, y'all act like kids too. Because the moment that that not only us, but the moment that you're confronted with the BS that you're putting so much time in, as opposed to putting energy into actual things that we need to change, then guess what? Oh, thumbs down. I don't like that. Or guess what? Jackie, you offended me. I'm unfriending you. And this and that and the other. And, again, politics, first of all, is not for the faint of heart.
No.
And especially when we're in the battle to basically rescue the soul of our nation.
Jeez, man.
When we're in the battle to rescue, see, I know why a lot of y'all love to pass this stuff around. You can hate me all you want. I know why a lot of y'all like to pass this stuff around, because y'all don't want to do nothing.
Oh, come on.
That's the reason why it is easier to get all worked up over some bullshit meme or Twitter or false this, as opposed to understanding why 60 years later, education for black and brown kids under Brown versus Board of Education, why that has failed.
Right.
It is easier to pass around false stuff like what we just pointed out to, than to ensure that we do something about systemic racism, that we do something about the way that gentrification is being used as as more of, I hate to use the type of word genocide, but displacing people unjustly.
Yeah.
Let's use it that way.
Yeah.
And so it's easier to pass that around than get up off our asses and go down and participate in a rally to keep people from being dispossessed of their property.
Right.
It is easier for us to sit around here and play with ourselves and talk about Seth Rich and everybody else, as opposed to saying, how are we going to make sure that these companies stop stealing wages from workers, which was a story we was going to do. We don't have the time now. But how stealing wages from workers, or ensuring that we have that the richest nation in the world provide the strongest safety net in the world. See, so it's easier to go around and sit on our hands and stuff and talk about fake stuff, as opposed to, as I said, getting up off our ass. And see, me and Jackie can say this because we get up off our asses. You go on our page, if you've been following us for a while, you see we're mostly everywhere we can be. So we're just not like some of y'all favorite YouTube celebs who don't leave their living room. We actually go out there and we actually try to live what we talk. You know what I mean? So we can say this, that so many of us sit on our hands and we don't want to do nothing. So the distraction is, I'll pass around that fake stuff. I know it's fake because I can't be that stupid, but it allows me to focus on something, as opposed to something that really doesn't require me to do anything, as opposed to focusing on something where I am compelled to do something.
Exactly. And as long as we do that, as long as enough of us are doing that, then these people in the DNC know that they don't have to worry about anybody focusing on what they're doing in a major political party, because we're so focused on Seth Rich and Hillary Clinton and who she's killing because of an elite pedophile ring. Those things, if those things were really going to bring down anybody in the DNC, would have done it by now, honestly. And to equate these kinds of just this silly fake Photoshop Twitter business with COINTELPRO and what was done to black. See, this is why history matters, y'all. We always knew that the federal government was spying on black liberation and native liberation and Latino liberation organizations, because we actually interacted with the agents that were sent to infiltrate these organizations. People would be physically followed. People's phones would be tapped. And then one day, some young anti-war hippies, white kids, broke into a federal office building. I forget the state where it was.
In Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, broke into a federal office building. Just happened to break into, because they were looking for draft cards. They were looking for draft cards, and they found the actual file full of documents that documented the COINTEL program. It wasn't screenshots of anything. It was people going into a building going,
looking for one thing.
Looking for one thing, finding another. But before all of those people found those files, there were all of these other people who actually had personal experience with these infiltrators. This wasn't, I don't like this politician, so I'm gonna latch on to anything that anybody sends me that smears them. And what we also didn't do, many of us and many of our parents and our grandparents, when COINTELPRO was confirmed, because we didn't have a name for it then, but we always knew what it was. When it was confirmed that Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
he was being secretly taped. When it was confirmed that Malcolm X was being secretly taped. When these things were confirmed, we didn't stop focusing on the politics that we had to change. That's the problem. That's the problem you all have. You all are so focused on these conspiracies and exposing the conspiracies. Look, the exposing COINTELPRO was a byproduct of the political and social activism that we kept doing. Y'all, if you're not going to do the political activism, if you're not going to do the social activism, you passing around this information with these fake tweets about pedophile rings, which I swear, that story that started this whole thing about a pedophile ring and Comet Pizza in Washington, D.C. has been debunked. It has been proven to be false. But y'all still believe that. But if you are only going to focus on that and are not going to take any of that energy and focus on policies and politics, then it's a waste of time. You are a waste of our time, and you're a threat to what we're trying to do. Because see, let me here's a real world example of why that's true. In the recent New Jersey midterm elections, and we talked about this on Loud and Clear on Friday. We'll have the link up soon to that segment. A former New Jersey politician, I don't know why I can't remember his name right now, but he was charged with corruption, and they tried him, and they couldn't convict him. It was a hung jury. Right. So they threw the charges out, and he ended up running again in this latest midterm elections. I think for governor, maybe.
Probably governor.
Yeah, I think for governor. He got 56% of the vote. Now, that's really important in a state like New Jersey. New Jersey is very much like New York when it comes to politics. Smash mouth politics. They either love you or they hate you. Yep. And when they hate you, they seriously hate you. So for a politician in New Jersey to only get 56% of the vote, that's by the skin of your teeth. New Jersey
well, I mean, and Jersey is basically a Democratic state.
And Jersey is a Democratic state, and this guy is a Democrat. But here's the real story. Lisa McCormick, also a Democrat, but a progressive. She had no money, no support from the Democratic Party. Remember, the Democratic Party supported the corrupt criminal who they couldn't convict. Not that he was innocent, they just had a hung jury. That's who the Democratic Party supported. Lisa McCormick, newspaper editor of a small newspaper in New Jersey somewhere. No money, no support from the Democratic Party. This woman got 40% of the vote. 40% with nothing. Clearly, the policies she advocated resonated with enough voters in New Jersey that she, an absolute unknown, gave the Democratic-backed candidate, right, who was linked directly to corruption, or run for his money in a race that he should have won easily, but he's that unpopular. The Democrats would rather support politicians who will carry the neoliberal, democratic, corporate-focused message. They'd rather support those kinds of politicians rather than to support progressive politicians, even if they run as Democrats.
Yeah, but they've shown that in Pennsylvania. They've shown it out west. I mean,
through the entire midterm election.
Right. So I mean, it's not like you said. It's not about who has better ideas or better policies for the country.
Right.
It's about winning, and it's about keeping the status quo the way it is.
Exactly. And there is no way, progressives, we are going to challenge the Democratic Party doing that kind of thing in every state. We also talked about on Loud and Clear how the Democratic Party doesn't have a 50-state solution. Do you know there are states? I mean, the Democrats talk about wanting to win. They're lying. They're lying. There are states where there are no offices for the Democratic Party. So even progressives who come in and pledge their allegiance to the Democratic Party and want to push Democratic policies, they can't make inroads in states where there's no apparatus that's alternative to a Republican Party, because they're not going to get money from the Democratic machine, because the Democrats don't even have offices in those states. So how can we make inroads there? And we can't even begin to make inroads in those kind of places if we are wasting our fucking time passing around memes about Seth Rich and Anthony Bourdain and all these other people being killed by Hillary Clinton because they were trying to uncover an elite pedophile ring, and this is information that will finally send her to prison. No, it's not.
Yep. And I think it's disingenuous for the Democrats to even talk about who they won't fund unless they make this oath of allegiance, because it's already documented that the Democratic Party, to those black Democrats who have made the allegiance and who have identified themselves as Democrats, this have already been shown that the Democratic Party pays a pittance to have Democratic advertisement on black radio, on black media. They spend very little money on black media, and black Democratic candidates have the hardest time having the DNC fund them in their campaigns and stuff. So it's all disingenuous. They talk about all this stuff, but in reality, you already have black Democrats who have already taken the oath of allegiance and can't get the financial support from the Democratic Party.
And I'm so glad you brought this up, because we're going to go out on this point. That's incredibly important in this discussion about policy and electoral tactics and campaign tactics. Because now let's circle right back around to Trump and his shenanigans. So I don't know if you saw the news that Donald Trump has been advised by somebody in his cabinet, some advisor, to give a posthumous pardon to Marcus Garvey. Now, first, last week, Trump said that he was going to pardon Muhammad Ali. Well, the problem with that is Muhammad Ali was already pardoned by the Supreme Court.
Right.
And the Supreme Court issued a blanket pardon to everyone who dodged the draft during the Vietnam War. So that's an example of yes, we know that Trump is stupid. Historically,
well, just uninformed.
Yes, he was uninformed.
We know, because I'm sure a lot of other people didn't know that.
Right. We're not trying to give that dude any more credit than he deserves. Yes, he doesn't know stuff, but again, he's like, I don't have to read a whole lot. That's why he has advisors.
I have people that read for me.
Exactly. So then his advisors come behind. Somebody came behind him and said, okay, well, you don't need to pardon Muhammad Ali, but hey, how about Marcus Garvey?
Right. That's important.
Now look, everybody knows who Muhammad Ali is. I don't believe that there are too many people alive in the United States who really don't know who Muhammad Ali is. Or was, as far as his legacy, boxing. Even if they don't know about his politics, they know that he, But not a lot of people know who Marcus Garvey was. And this is incredibly important as far as Trump being a master strategist, a master marketer, a master campaigner, and understanding the importance of symbolism and why we progressives and Democrats need to focus all of our attention on policies and what politicians do. To understand who Marcus Garvey is and to understand his importance to black people in this country, you need to go watch the episode of Brick by Brick in Luqman Nation called Rise of the Political Black Left, Marcus Garvey. And yes, that's my show. That's our show.
Yeah.
And it's our history. It's our history thing. But by the time you finish watching that show, if you don't understand how important Marcus Garvey is to the black liberation movement, not only in this country and around the world, we can't help you no more. Honestly, it's really, really simple. Marcus Garvey is, in the United States, the father of black liberation, or at least he is the father of Pan-Africanism.
Well, Marcus Garvey holds the distinction of being the only so-called black leader that had the largest black American following of any black leader in this history.
Mm-hmm.
That more than Louis Farrakhan,
Yep.
Elijah Muhammad,
Yep.
any black leader that you can think of, Jesse Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
Martin Luther King. Marcus Garvey had the largest. He had 4 million African American followers in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Garvey also was the influence, the ideological influence to many people like Malcolm X,
Mm-hmm.
Elijah Muhammad,
Mhm.
even in certain parts of Martin Luther King later on.
That's right.
Because Marcus Garvey advocated, he was one of the promoters of what they call Pan-Africanism.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of the very few black leaders who focused on a connection to Africa, the diaspora,
Mm-hmm.
Africans in the diaspora, those that were stolen away and our descendants, us,
Mm-hmm.
being connected with the people, the wealth, and the land of Africa in order to create what a broad African nation.
Right.
So it's significant, Jackie, that you bring up that why would a white nationalist American like Trump,
Come on
right?
now.
Why would a white nationalist American
Mhm.
like Trump, with all his racialized views on record, nothing we got to make up,
Mm-hmm.
all of his racialized views, so much so that even Richard Spencer, who is one of the, I hate to use that word, but one of the intellectual figures of the alt-right, if that's his thing,
Mm-hmm.
he even admitted that Trump shares his white nationalist views.
Right.
He said he might not share ethno-state philosophy,
Mhm.
but he definitely is a white nationalist.
Right.
So, with all of this being out in the open, why would white nationalist American Make America Great Build a Wall Trump, why would he pick the blackest leader? You know, because look at it. He could have went with somebody safe. He could have, Trump could have went with, all right, he pardoned Jack Johnson.
Right.
But there's other black people who were unjustly locked up for their politics, who weren't as radical as Garvey.
True.
Trump could have picked any of them, but Trump, not only did Trump, and you got to give the guy credit, Jack Johnson was locked up for running around with a white woman.
That's yep.
Trump pardoned him.
Yes.
Now he's going for the blackest leader in black American history, and the most controversial in Marcus Garvey. Why Trump choose him? And see, what we said, Jackie, all the time is that Trump chose him is because the fact that Trump is showing two things. Trump campaigned to the black community by saying, what y'all got to lose?
That's right.
That's number one.
Yes, he did.
Trump didn't ignore black America, and I hate when people say that. He didn't ignore black America. He might not have spoken the language we were accustomed to, but he didn't ignore us. And what happened was, you know, he made a bunch of promises that he has yet to keep, but he done that to other people. But what I'm saying is he didn't ignore black America. And I think that Trump politically is paying chess because Trump has already told black America during campaign, Democrats taking y'all for granted.
Yep. And he's saying,
Right.
you know, look, listen, I'm not taking you for granted, because I understand that this guy is important to you all.
Right.
Now, I know how offensive that sounds, but come on now. Come on now.
But this is the same Marcus Garvey that the first black president, Obama, wouldn't pardon, even after being petitioned by Garvey's family.
If you go and watch that Brick by Brick episode, there was a clip of Marcus Garvey's grandson. I think it's his grandson or his great-grandson, who was being interviewed on Democracy Now! by Amy Goodman. I forget the year this was. I think it was 2011, maybe, where they petitioned, the Garvey family petitioned the Obama administration to posthumously pardon Marcus Garvey, because Marcus Garvey was, now you want to talk about a conspiracy?
Right.
This wasn't a theory. Marcus Garvey really was set up by the United States government. J. Edgar Hoover made his career. He started his career in the FBI going after Marcus Garvey. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were not the first, and the Black Panther Party were not the first targets of J. Edgar Hoover. Marcus Garvey was the first target of then new rookie agent J. Edgar Hoover. And it was J. Edgar Hoover who falsely who orchestrated the false conviction of mail fraud.
Mail fraud, because Garvey was getting donations through the mail,
right,
and wasn't
for
paying
the Black
taxes
Star
on,
Line.
right.
And J. Edgar Hoover did that, and so the Garvey family petitioned the Obama administration to posthumously pardon Garvey, and the Obama administration didn't do it. So here you have Trump, the white nationalist, build a wall, like you said, president. Why? Because not only is he saying to black voters, a very loyal black voter base for the Democratic Party, not only is he saying to black voters, the Democrats wouldn't even do this for you. They wouldn't even pay any attention to you. Right. He's also saying that to black people who have felt so disenfranchised that they don't vote. Who he has been made aware, this man is an important figure to these people. This is how you can re-engage them into the electoral process and get them on your side.
And I'm gonna tell you what, Trump is not talking to Trump is not talking to those black people who run with Obama.
Nope.
See, because Marcus, the reason why Obama didn't pardon Garvey is because of the respectability thing.
Yep.
See, but you know, respectability, Garvey being Jamaican, and Garvey's base was poor blacks.
That's right.
That's not Obama's people. So what happened is that Obama wasn't pardoning him because of what he represented. Mm-hmm. So when Trump pardoned, and again we got to look at symbolism. When Trump, now he hasn't pardoned Garvey yet. It was just a recommendation. Right. But if Trump pardons Garvey, that is not speaking to the Obama black Cosby Show elitist crowd.
No, that's not the CBC blacks.
No, that's speaking to the rank and file blacks who, as you said, Jackie, feel so disenfranchised from the Democratic Party they don't even bother coming out to vote.
Exactly, and this is what it also does, and this is something that we can never ever dismiss. Trump is also scoring points against Obama. And you know we have plenty of criticism for Obama and his policies. None of this is that we're saying that Trump is doing is in defense of Donald Trump or in defense of Obama as if he's being treated badly. No, he squandered a lot of political capital. And even though if Marcus Garvey is pardoned, whether Obama did it or whether Trump does it, it doesn't change any policy. We understand that. Mm-hmm. But symbolism is important. Right. It's just as important as having the first black man and black family in the White House with no scandals that black people love so much, but they don't pay attention to his policies that were deficient in some areas. Trump understands that this is symbolism. And he also understands the symbolism of him doing it and Obama not doing it.
That's it.
So, listen, y'all. All this focus that some of us have on these very interesting and I'll readily admit entertaining ideas that Hillary Clinton is running around killing people who are about to uncover an elite pedophile ring of politicians who are passing children around. That's a lot of P's. I get that that's sexy and that's easy, but this kind of stuff, paying attention to the policies and the practices and the deeds of people, that's hard. That's hard, and that's what we have to do. And as long as we are focused on this silly stuff on the internet, online, these people who are doing this other stuff, they know that we're not a threat to them.
I guess, exactly.
So what else you got?
Nothing, because it's
got
2
nothing
hours.
else? It's
We've
been
been
2
here
hours.
2 hours. It's time to go.
It's time to go now. So listen, y'all, we're trying to get to, we got to get to New Orleans in August for the Netroots conference. I think we're on a panel.
No, you're on a panel. I'm not. They don't never pick me up for
I
panels.
always say we.
No, I go to support, but they don't want me on no panel.
Anyway, we're raising money for just general equipment upgrades and other things. But in order for us to continue elevating the voices of marginalized and oppressed people for justice, we got to have money to do that, to get this message out. And we both have jobs, and this is like a third job that we don't get paid for. So we're asking for your support. If you like what we're doing here in Luqman Nation and you want to see us do more, consider being a patron, giving monthly contributions through Patreon. Consider a one-time donation through PayPal or a one-time donation through GoFundMe. You can find us on all three of those platforms looking under Luqman Nation, LuqManNation. Check us out on Saturday nights. We've taken a little break, but Saturday nights at 9, between 9 and 9:30 on Spreaker for his show, Pitbull and Politics, where it's even more raw than it is here during the week. We do have some interviews coming up for you in this week. Are we doing this one?
I think Thomas Curry.
Tommy Curry on Thursday.
Right, Dr. Tommy Curry.
Dr. Tommy Curry. We are so excited about that on Thursday night here at 9 p.m. Share this video. Invite people to subscribe to this channel on YouTube. And to get notifications, be sure to click on the little bell up in the right when you subscribe to get notifications. We're done talking, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in to Luqman Nation. Be good to each other, and as always, peace.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was my favorite. I loved him so much.